Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Proulx will teach us about QMS specifically for clean rooms. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick anecdote, and that is when I started my own consultancy, I asked my mentor, what should I do? Because I had just lost my job in a medical device company. They were bought out. And he said, well, why don't you work on medical devices? And I thought, is that big enough? I mean, shouldn't I do like all healthcare or all medical everything, like just devices? Apparently devices is big enough. So now I'm thinking QMS for all medical devices. Okay. Just for clean rooms, is that big enough?
Here's the thing. It's a great question and a great lead into this whole thing. Let me tell you a little bit about me first before I jump in, because I have a 2-minute animated video that I'd like to show you.
I'm waiting for this.
We have a treat here.
Please.
2 minutes. Excuse me. I've been working in quality and regulatory in medical device, pharma, compounding pharmacies for the last 30 years. I have worked in clean rooms because practically all of these industries have something to need a clean room for. So if you're not sure what a clean room is, please raise your hand and I can explain a little bit more. Nobody raises their hands, I'll just keep on going, but you're real fast. I'll just let you know, clean room is a state of control you have to reduce particulates and contamination, bugs, okay? Because your product requires a certain level of decontamination, sterility, particle counts to be able to make your product safely and effectively. There was a well-known case back in May of 2012 called NECC, the New England Compounding Center up in Andover, Massachusetts, where they were a 503A, meaning a regular pharmacy, but they would actually make sterile injectable drugs for prescriptions. What they decided to do is they said, hey, we've got a pharmacist here and we don't know anything about drug manufacturing, but we know how to compound. And as long as this pharmacist signs off on it, we're going to make a whole bunch of stock of this sterile injectable drug, and we're just going to sell it out to hospitals and clinics, things like that. They did that, and they found out that they killed a bunch of people because people got meningitis and died as a result of shock because the drug had a certain amount of tree mold in it, and they had not checked their HVAC systems. They were not doing any kind of testing of the product. They had no idea that this was going on, but because the pharmacist signed off on it, it was okay. All right, that doesn't work nowadays. The FDA got a hold of that, and then obviously the QA person and the president went to jail, shut down the company, and they redid the code. Back in 2015, I believe it was, they created what they call 503Bs, which are essentially drug manufacturers, but they're considered compounding pharmacies. So you can compound, but you can make the bulk because you're not under the pharmacy's code, you're under the drug manufacturing code. So you have to follow 21 CFR 21 CFR 211 instead of the pharmacy code, which was 797 at the time. So because of that, clean rooms have been coming more and more under scrutiny under environmental concerns. And the FDA is very well aware of this, and they expect you to keep immaculate records. However, the majority of people in the business don't keep immaculate records. They have their own forms and they fill out paper forms. And yes, there is paper on the clean room floor where they're filling out forms and checklists and all kinds of things with paper, with ink and pen. It's a very, very wasteful process, as you can well imagine. Any business processes that are relying on paper, you have the paper cost, you have ink, you have toner, you have pens, you have wasted time filing, you have filing storage room that you have. Sometimes you have to send it off site to Iron Mountain, and then good luck getting it back once you've done that. But you've got to keep all this stuff on. And then you've got the whole scanning, which is an entire process all by itself. So it's a very, very, very wasteful process. And in order for people to prove that they are in compliance with the stated classification of the clean room, they have to keep immaculate records. And most everybody has it a manual way. So you have to dig through the records, you have to transpose numbers, you have to transpose data, and that is a long, arduous process. And about 2019, I had enough of it. And I said, there's nothing on the market like this at all. So I said, I got to get a hold of somebody to automate this process. take all the forms that I've been doing, everything I've done from cleaning, disinfecting, particle counting, and micro counting, and then creating audit logs so you can be able to go back in the history. Like I would have to do is I'd have to investigate to see what happened. Assuming that people put the data in, I'd have to go back to the paperwork. Charts and graphs. I would create myself in Excel and I would have big charts and graphs that would show you exactly where my data points were underneath whatever the upper level action level was. So I've been doing that for a number of years. So 2019, I asked a guy in Gainesville, say, there's a young company. Have you ever done anything like this before? They were like, no, but they had me to teach them. So I said, here's what we got to do. We got to automate this. We need to digitize it. That's why you see my tag at the end of it, all my posts on LinkedIn, I'll say digitize it, because you got to get rid of paper. We're in the 21st century, for crying out loud. We don't need to be killing paper. Okay. And with that, if you're waiting with bated breath, let me share the screen and I can jump into showing you this video. Let's see if everybody can see this when it comes up.
But cannot hear it at the moment. If there is audio.
Okay, there is audio. Can you not hear it?
No.
Okay. Is there a way for you to play it there, Joe?
Probably. You're welcome to put it in the chat.
In the upper left portion of your screen, you should see original sound for musicians off or on, and that's in the Windows format.
Let's see if I have anything like that. I don't
Under
see
play,
anything.
maybe under audio there. 2 over. No, I'm sorry, you were there. Audio. Go ahead and go.
Oh, audio.
Yeah, increase volume. I don't know.
All right, try it and see, I guess.
Correct.
Let's try this again.
No. Okay. Go ahead and send me that link in the chat.
Okay, I actually sent you the video in an email through Slack.
Okay, then.
Oh, maybe it'll work through Slack. Hold on a second. Maybe I can do that.
Maybe.
Let's try that.
Maybe.
Let us try that. He says with anticipation.
With worm on your tongue?
Can you hear that now?
I
Not
don't
yet.
think so. No.
Okay, good. And let me open this up. Pardon starting over again, but
Okay, I get the sound, so let me do it. Share screen. This will stop your screen share. Okay.
We're not hearing anything.
if you can't hear it, this is why we have the words at the bottom too.
You guys can't hear it?
No.
All right, well, I have the transcription there on the bottom.
Yeah, when I said that switch was on your screen, I didn't mean the screen you were projecting. I mean the one you actually see on your computer.
Well, everyone read the bottom.
It's running, I guess the words are running just a little bit behind, so we'll let that finish up.
There.
And now it's finished.
It is finished.
So as you can see, there's a lot of waste, and as a Six Sigma black belt, it just upsets me to see so much waste in any processes, whether it's medical device, pharmaceutical, any of these. I have to do something about it. It's innate in me to want to do something to reduce waste, because I've been there. I've been on the floor having to fill out, having to create, having to scan, having to file, having to sign, having to go track down signatures, having to say, is that a 7 or is that a 9? There's just so much can go wrong with manual methods and humans. We're trying to take the human out of this, not to replace them, but to give them more of their productive time back for other things.
Now, Mark, I have to ask, it was doubly confusing for me because I was watching, I could hear it. You guys were talking over it. I was reading at the same time. Let me start with my original question.
Okay.
How big is the QMS for clean room market? It just doesn't seem like big enough for you, my friend, to create a business around. But obviously you have done more research than I, and you believe it is because you're betting your livelihood on it. How big is this opportunity?
We estimate because no one's got this actual data, but we estimate from looking at all the literature that's out there right now, that there is probably close to 150,000 clean rooms. And we're just talking about singular clean rooms across the globe. The United States, Asia actually has the most, Europe has next, and then the United States is actually third. So there are a lot of clean rooms, and it's estimated, looking at the National Institutes of Health and some of the other big ones that look at this, there's going to be anywhere from a 2 to 10% growth in clean rooms, simply because the FDA is cracking down and people need these levels of controls. So we feel that even if we just start small, because remember, this is not fully developed yet. We're getting there, and we're needing some help to get it fully developed and paid for so we can put out our first beta version, get it validated. However, once we get to that point and we've got something that's validated, we're looking at starting in the tertiary markets, the secondary markets, and then work our ways up to the big guys. And we may even get a whale of an account at some point in time. But this is a problem. We put out a survey a few years back where we sent out about 80,000 emails to QA people across just the United States. And we got about 125 responses back, which is enormous. We got more than we thought we were going to get. And every single one of them, mostly paper. Next is manual automatic, such as Excel spreadsheets and so forth, that they're putting into like a forms document, things like that. And then lastly, an automatic system. And the automated systems are really only for particle counting, because you can't automatically do cleaning. You can't automatically do disinfecting. You can't automatically do micro counts. That is a manual process. So if you had an automatic process, chances are it's a data collection system that you've got set up. It's a pretty expensive system for particulate counts that can also do temperature and humidity, but that's only one of the 4 things that clean spaces will be able to do. So we believe there is an enormous market out there, because not only do companies normally, well, smaller companies usually have one clean room, but a lot of these medium-sized and big companies have far more than one clean room, and each clean room is its own business entity as far as the FDA is concerned. So every time you go into a clean room, you have to record for that clean room under that classification and not the other ones, but you still have to have records for every other clean room you got. So we may have 80,000 customers in the United States, but the actual clean rooms they have are probably double, triple, maybe quadruple that. So we feel there's a pretty big market for this.
I already have a half dozen questions, and there are at least 3 or 4 people on the call who specialize in quality or specifically QMS. So instead of opening the floor to everyone and indulging my own questions, do you have something to show us so that we have a basis for your work before we start asking or arranging questions?
Yes, as a matter of fact, let me pull this up. Let me go and show you some.
Now, when did you launch? Are you in beta? Do you have customers?
We are looking for customers. Actually, we're looking for 3 things. We're looking for customers.
Everyone does.
Partners.
Sure.
And investors.
Okay. Welcome. You are a company.
Let me share the screen here real fast. You can see, boom, boom. Let's see if this does it. Okay. Okay.
Come on, man. You're supposed to know where this stuff is.
I know, right? I'm so organized. I can't find things
Seriously.
sometimes.
You need a QMS system.
Yeah, I had it all in one place.
I know
I'm
you
not gonna
did.
lie. I'm trying to remember where it was, but I can post this later on. If you want to actually see the video in its entirety and be able to hear everything, you can go to LinkedIn and see Clean Spaces app. It's clean-spaces-app, and then you can find the Clean Spaces company page. And then somewhere on there, you can scroll down. You can actually see that video again.
If you were able to locate your presentation, how many pages would it be and what does it cover?
Well, I can show you this. We have a pitch deck.
Okay, well, something. Just I want to see something because I'm a visual person.
Right.
And perhaps you're going to open the app and show us the app itself.
No, because in data, all we have are little screenshots, and that's what I was looking for, is the actual screenshots of these things so that I could walk you through this.
And are they here in this presentation? No.
No, this is basically the pitch deck to walk through where we are, source of the clean rooms
We
for
talked about
survey
this.
respondents, company
Mhm.
waste. We didn't really talk that much, but there is a possibility of companies wasting anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000 a year in paper and ink and toner and wasted time, wasted productive time on average. Let's see, it's a B2B SaaS program. We're currently we're the only clean room data management for cleaning, disinfecting, particle counting, and micro, everything in one place. So we're the only ones that have something like this. We believe that there is a potential worldwide market of 3.6 billion annual revenue. We're looking at in the future a potential million users, which potentially 135,000 different clean rooms. And how we'll be structuring this is per user, per clean room, per month. So if you have a company that has 4 or 5 clean rooms and has 4 or 5 people, then for each of the clean rooms is a different business entity. That's different data that's going to go in. Each of the users will be the ones that will be putting the data in. And we're reckoning that at the bare minimum, 1 clean room, 1 user, which is not realistic. In our case, the way we're doing it is that there are the minimum of 3 users, because you need an administrator who's going to put the information in about your particular company. Then you will have a manager who oversees the clean room, and then the operator who's actually going to be doing the work and putting the information in. So right then and there, we've already set ourselves up for 3 users per customer, per facility, and then however many clean rooms they've got.
And you bill by user license?
Yes.
And do you have pricing yet?
We do. What we're doing is we're looking at $300 per user per month per clean room. So it's approximately
$300 per user per month. So 900 times 12.
right. So about $3,600 a year. And that can fluctuate.
3,600 per user, right?
Yes.
So that's, what is it,
300 times
10,800?
Good question real fast here.
I did that in my
300 times 12, it's 3,600. So if they only have 1 clean room, then it would be 3,600. Then it obviously goes up above
I'm sorry,
that.
you said, I'm sorry to do this. You said 300 per user.
Mhm.
And there are
Times
3
12.
users.
Times 12.
Right. But
3 users. Yeah. So it'd be 3,600 times 3.
Right. Which is 10,800.
Right. 10,800. Correct.
Okay.
You're a lot faster at math than I am. That's why I gave out duties over to a CEO.
Okay.
But anyway, you can see that a lot of the cost and expense in a company, anybody who runs their own company has had gotten any of these Konica all multi-purpose scanner, printer, copier kind of things. It could run you $20,000 a year in rental cost on these things. So we feel the
Mark,
way we
maybe
got
I can ask you, don't share your screen right now. I'm going to open the floor because there are lots of questions, including mine. And in the meanwhile, I'd love it if, while you're not sharing your screen, you could locate a screenshot or so, because I really want to see something about what it is that you're doing. Is that fair?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
I want to start with Nellie. Because, you know, I have a little bit amount of information that I can keep in my brain. And the thing that Nellie taught me is that there are three kinds of QMSs. There's paper, there's virtual, and there's the full deal, the eQMS system. And I thought when I first met her, paper, you got to be crazy. Who uses paper anymore? Surely you jest. And she said, no, there's plenty of people who use paper. And Mark, you said, okay, people, we're in the 21st century. We got to get off paper. And Nellie said, well, there are good cases for paper. Perhaps Cleanrooms, Nellie, in your view, is one of those places that's not a good place for paper. Would you agree with this, the concept that this is a place where virtual makes sense?
As somebody who's had to manage data, if you can get a nice price point for startups, this is an awesome asset because there's so many people who don't know how to do this. And the thing I was going to ask Mark that literally was bouncing around in my head the whole time he was talking was, have you already written procedures that you can plug into somebody's QMS on how to use your system? Because really that's the criticality. And then are you giving the validation away or are you charging them for it? Because one of the things I have found that's critical, most startups can't afford validation. And the companies that are kicking off, that are giving validation information and certificates of conformance are being bought into by the small startups faster. So I think you are revolutionary. I just want to caution you. I think you're going to get more bang for your buck if maybe, like, for example, there's one customer they use is they have a price point and they say, hey, if you're under this cap for your funding and you put powered by us on your website, we're going to give you this much of a discount and we're going to give you the validation paperwork. So you don't have to do that. And that helps those small startups buy it. But my first question is, sorry, there's so much going on in my head, but it was also the procedures. Have you
Welcome to Nellie's head, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what?
It was a lot to unpack. So
We're going to have an entire breakout room for Nellie's head after the show.
First off, have you written procedures yet?
Yeah, let me break this out here. We're going to be including as part of this package its own training video. So there will be, yes, procedures as part of the package on the front page. I actually found some of the screenshots that we have for a one-pager that we're doing to put out that helps explain things. I can show you that in a second. Second thing is validation. Absolutely. I went in with the idea that I am not, as a QA person, going to accept anything that hasn't been validated, especially if I have to make quality decisions. So we will do the validation. We are giving away the validation for free. We are letting people know that if you don't trust our validation, here's the protocol. You can run it yourself if you'd like, because we've already done it. When we get done, it'll be fully validated, fully Part 11 compliant, and following ISO 14644 for clean rooms, USP 1667 for micro, and then it's personalized for each business. So it's actually customized per business. So as long as they know what their cleaning and disinfecting supplies are, if they know what their class clean rooms are and who their users are, if they know exactly what their top level micro counts are per plate, they can input all that up at the beginning. Then when they turn it over to the operators to use, it's a simple matter of using. It is a very ATM, click a button, go to places, very, very simple. And the training is almost self-explanatory. And if you'd like to see some of the screenshots, which I happen to have, show you that real fast.
Sure.
Well, I mean, if you ever want to just have a sideline conversation, because one of the things you still have to have is that standard operating procedure, which is pin and ink. And if you guys haven't written it, that is one of my specialties. I do very well at that. So if you wanted to partner, we could do something.
I would appreciate that. I mean,
Look
I
at the business development happening here, folks.
Okay. I've written so many SOPs over my lifetime. My God, I know you probably feel the same way, Nellie, because I've written.
I actually enjoy it. I'm a sick person. I actually enjoy writing procedures. It's my fun.
For a good time, call 1-800-Bushman.
Hey, Mark, I was going to recommend, you were referencing different links and sites and stuff. I would recommend putting all that in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of people will want to write it down.
Absolutely.
And Mark is on premium, so anyone can just write at Mark and he'll show up and you can chat with him directly.
Exactly. So here are some of the screens up at the top right here, the welcome screen. This is our Clean Spaces screen. Really, it's very ATM-ish. If you look at this section right here, it's cleaning, disinfecting, particle counts, and micro counts. And then, of
you're
course,
showing me a micro, you're showing me mobile screens, which is fine. I'm imagining really someone being at their desk doing this stuff.
Actually, it's going to be two different things. One is going to be for the admin. They'll have a web version where they can input everything. And then what we plan to do is give them very Star Trek-y have them purchase like the iPad minis or iPad Pros or Surface Pros. So it's
Mhm.
loaded up on a mobile device. So you take the mobile device into the clean room with you, do all your work. If you're doing cleaning, you click on cleaning, you input whatever it is that they've told you that
Okay.
you can use. You input all that stuff. And then when you're done, you click OK, boom, it goes in the audit record. Now
If you
it's
would scroll down a
automatic.
bit, so we can see more of your page there. Okay.
This kind of goes into a little bit more about us, a little more about the pain points that we're trying to resolve here,
Okay.
a little about me and my team. And
All
I
right.
can put this out on chat too if people would
Please.
like this.
Sure. And I imagine you either have it on your LinkedIn profile or should.
Yes, it's on my LinkedIn profile and the Clean Spaces app profile, the company profile on LinkedIn.
Okay. I'm going to turn. Go ahead.
Well, one thing I failed to mention that I want to now is that we have successfully gotten our patent pending on this. It is a provisional patent, which gives us 1 year to be able to clean up everything and put all the beta test testing, put all the bells and whistles in it that we need to. So by the end of 1 year, by the end of the beginning of next year, we can then file for a non-provisional patent. That non-provisional patent would be the actual serious thing, but we're guaranteed to have protection up until then. And then once we have the non-provisional patent, that would really be the big IP protection that we would have going forward.
Okay. Barbara's a new friend here, but before I give her the floor, I'm going to ask my original quality bestie, Marin, if she has any thoughts. What are the kinds of questions that come to mind regarding what Mark's sharing with us?
I think it's a really good way of proving things. I think it's clean rooms, but there are probably other biological labs. I know you were asking about what the market size is, but there's probably other biological labs, one of which John works in right now, where this type of thing in tracking would also be very valuable. So it's a potential market. It's also a place I think you should look for possible competitors, because there's a lot of lab management for out there right now, and that's another where I've seen several startup companies recently.
When you say competitors, are you saying watch out, Mark, they might eat your lunch, or look for partnerships, or both?
Any of the above, right? Your
Right.
Competitors are also potential partners. The other thing that flashed through my mind is one of the areas that's becoming really important, particularly for biolabs, is certification, like environmental certification. So WHO has a whole initiative that they started up in 2021 around green labs and how do you do that. It so happens that one of the companies that I've been talking with is a company called My Green Lab, which is the WHO certification that's recommended for biological labs. And so that might be a good potential partnership for you. They've got two programs. One is My Green Labs, which is a certification. The other is ACT, which is an equipment certification for being environmentally friendly, and it's specific toward biolab equipment.
Thank you. Barbara has been very patient and been writing me all of these private notes. So if you would, Barbara, take yourself off mute and introduce yourself and go ahead. You got a lot to say.
Hi, I'm Barbara Allgeier, and I'm with a company called Sherpa Pharma. And our company actually provides an effective and reliable environmental monitoring software solution. It's a cloud-based solution, but it follows the QC micro EM process digitally. So I actually met Brian Bennett, I think, from your company at Interfax, just very briefly, Mark, but have not had time to touch base with that. So I was trying to get more information about your product as to how you guys, do you handle that? I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Moda from Lonza, correct?
Yeah, I know
Okay.
Lonza very well.
So does your product address what Moda does, or does your product not address that portion?
LabVantage is the last the Lonza LabVantage. They just came out a couple of days ago with they're putting out LabVantage. It's much more like a LIMS system. From what I understand, LIMS systems and being able to see LIMS systems, it's a lot more of the micro and the inventory and your processes and how you keep track of things like that. As far as we know, and maybe you could inform me if that's not the case, but I have looked at least a dozen other systems, even overseas, to see if there's anything there that does the 4 things that we do, including audit logs and charts and graphs automatically. As far as I can tell, the information still has to be put in by the operators doing the work, or the people doing the micro, or the people doing the particulate counts. There are third-party groups that come in and actually qualify the room that do all that with the air changes, temperature, humidity, particle counts, things like that. And then they issue a report, but that report comes out as a hard copy report or an electronic report in PDF format. So there's no place to actually put this information where you can actually excise that out and have your charts and graphs and show a history automatically 24/7. So the kind of things you're talking about with Lanza is limited in its capacity. It doesn't have all the things that we're putting together, because we felt that this was an entire environmental monitoring package that starts from cleaning and disinfecting and just recording that they actually did the work and with what they did the work, including particle counting, and however you're doing it, whether it's internally and you have your own internal machines, you can do this on a monthly basis until you have your qualification. You can keep track of this and you can show all through the year exactly how you're doing, and micro too. And of course, we also have identification for this as well. So if you have any CFUs, and all pharmaceuticals and compounding pharmacies, from what I understand, must identify whatever the bug is. You need to keep track of that. And you need to have a history so you can see, you can go back in time and see what exactly the bugs that are normally growing in your place and whether you've done anything about it. To the earlier point, SOPs are SOPs. Your company is going to follow the practices that you've set up for your company. This is a recording device. This is a reporting device. It's a way for you to actually take that data, that information that you get either from hard copy or that you're getting it off a tear sheet off a printed page from a particle counter, or you're doing the cleaning and you're actually putting it in, like I said, more like an ATM way. This is a full and complete environmental package specifically for clean rooms. And I am not aware of anything out there that does exactly this.
So I think my understanding is LabVantage is from another company and Lanza has Moda. Lanza introduced Moda back in the late 90s. Actually, Lanza was looking for software to follow their cellular manufacturing. And I called on Lanza, from 2010 to 2019, because I preserved isolates. So I preserved the microorganisms that people found in the clean room so that they could test with them. So they could test with them instead of testing with standard ATCC strains, which may have not undergone the disinfectants and may have been warped. So the FDA back then said, or the USP, there was method saying you need to test with your own environmental isolates. So that's a little just history on my exposure into environmental monitoring. I am not a microbiologist by education, but like I said, I've worked in that industry since 2010. So a lot of people think of LIMS as, this data management. It's a generic term. People will call Moda LIMS, but Moda really follows the microbiology portion of environmental monitoring in clean room areas. And they started, like I said, years ago, where you didn't even have like computers. So, their technology keeps getting smaller and smaller, to be able to use more of the state of the art, products. So you have other companies like Labware, which is LIMS, which does a great job with sample management, inventory, some of the other things. But LIMS does not know how to handle QC micro data. Does not allow you to get the trending and all of that out.
You're 100% right.
There are several other companies on the market. So my company, Sherpa Pharma, is a company that started from a manufacturer rep organization in Spain. And they were providing all different products for clean room and contamination control for sterile manufacturers. The parent company is TISA Labs out of Barcelona. The owner of the company saw a big need and then was using a product called Biotrends, which was a product that was on the market, and still felt there was a lot more, as you said, that was needed in this industry. So sought out and spec'd out a product and developed a company called Sherpa Pharma. Sherpa Pharma introduced our product in 2017 in Spain to follow that whole QC micro EM process digitally. the product comes validated and the customers get the whole GAMP5 package when they purchase, our solution. We help configure all of, from setting up where to monitor all of that.
Barbara, if I may interrupt for a moment, would you say then that from what you've understood of Mark's presentation, are you a direct competitor to what he's building?
I would say that we would compete with the QC micro EM portion. That's what I would say. I would say that we have a turnkey solution for this, and we are expanding that solution. We came to the USA a year ago in April. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what parts that he, because most of this is over my head, what parts that he presented sound complementary to what you're doing that you aren't addressing?
yeah, so we don't do like inventory control. We don't do temperature, humidity. We don't do, those things. Water, we can post the bioburden portion, but we don't do some of those. We will interface to, some of the rapid micro technologies, but we're in the process of doing that, right? With each installation, somebody will have a different air sampler. So we can record what air sampler was used, who touched the sampler, what cap was on the sampler. We can say what incubator was used, and all of that's collected digitally. So again, there's a very deep conversation, forward. I mean, I can show 3 slides that will show you what portion our company does to give you an idea that, because our product was developed in 2017, you had handheld devices like this that have barcode readers on them. The plates come with a label, whereas if you look at some of the older technology, they're still printing out labels, perhaps sticking the labels on. Again, the major sources of contamination in clean rooms are personnel and people entering in there, as well as the HVAC systems and so forth.
Before you show us
HVAC
those pages, which are interesting to me, Mark, I'd like to ask you, from what she's described, are you thinking, oh, those things that you don't do, what a huge miss, you really have to? Or are you thinking, oh, well, the things that she's mentioning that she doesn't have, yeah, I could see a coder throwing 3 or 6 months at it and then, lapping me, and I don't have a competitive advantage versus what she has. What are you hearing?
Well, what I'm hearing is that, yes, there are some places that will just not compete. If somebody is just interested in micro and they've got a good micro program and everything else is just, secondary, we're probably not going to compete with something like that. However, a majority of the clean rooms are mom and pops, they're medium size. They still have, paper SOPs. They still create the forms and templates. They still fill it out on the clean room floor. So majority of the EMS that's done, the environmental monitoring systems that are done, are very manual, very basic. And most of these smaller companies can't afford an automatic system, like an automatic.
It certainly
particle
sounds as though
system.
there's a big enough market for you both. How many customers do you already have globally, Barbara?
So we have 16 customers, and one is in the USA, and the one that's in the USA is Focus Labs. So they are not our typical customer, because ideally we would sell to small, medium, and then also large companies that are sterile manufacturers or compounding pharmacies.
I know you've only been there a year. I'm surprised that the number is 16.
So the 16, 15 of them are in Spain, because we started in Spain in 2017. So we just came to the USA. So it's like, hey,
No, I get that. I get
I
that. I'm
sell a
just wondering.
sneaker from, Barcelona, and
I
right.
have a lot of clients who really do have better mousetraps and provide stellar service, and still they're not making the kind of inroads that they anticipated. They thought once people hear this, they're going to be all over it. Are you finding resistance to the value prop?
We are not finding resistance at all with our product at all. It's how do we, like I said, I started 1 year ago in April. Our company wasn't known at all. And how do we get brand awareness, brand recognition, with me being the person in the USA, right?
Mm-hmm.
So We had a white paper that was written by Vanessa Figorio. She owns a company that does quality and environmental monitoring. So we do have a white paper that is called 6 Factors to Consider when Selecting a Digital System for Environmental Monitoring.
You memorized that whole title? That's impressive right there. Maybe you could put the link to that in the chat. And Mark, do you mind if I go ahead and give her the screen share and see?
No, not at all. Not at all. I
let's-
wanted to make one point though before we moved on here. The
Yeah.
thing that sort of distinguishes Clean Spaces from hers in a sense is that we already know that, okay, you've got your 4 sections: clean, disinfecting, particle counting, and micro. Not every company, especially my medical devices, don't need micro. They just do the particle counts and they do the cleanliness. They don't need the micro. So the micro portion is actually going to be a module that gets turned on if we find a company that needs to be able to do the micro.
And that's your specialty, Barbara, the micro part?
So yeah, so our portion would be the micro, but we also can take the data from non-viables. So we can take the data, right? We provide right now, we will collect the data using this device in the clean room. We can even scan like a QR code
Mhm.
from a isolator and scan the plate through the glass. So all of the process, we follow the process from planning to placing plates, to picking up plates, to incubating, to ID, to data trending and data analysis, so that you can see what's going on in your environment and know if your environment is under control or
In
not.
the interest of time, I do invite you to go ahead and share your screen. And in the meanwhile, Nellie and Maren, what are you hearing between my 2 friends here? Nellie looks like she doesn't have anything to say right now.
No.
That's okay.
I always
I
have
put you on the
something.
spot.
No, I think it's I'm sad I don't have a client that I can actually test this out with and use it, because it sounds like something fun to play with. But I think it's great options, because I've actually been one person who sat there and somebody's giving me all the data and say, Nellie, go make an Excel document out of all this data and then interpret it and analyze it and tell me if I need a kappa or not. And it's like, it takes forever. And then you've got the human factor where obviously you sit to typing and you fat finger or something. And then it's like, you freak everybody out. Then everybody goes, then you spend another week looking for the error. So I mean,
Barbara and Mark, can you make Nellie and Maren beta testers? Give them access to check out your system?
I would welcome that just as soon as we can get it to the point where we think we can hand it over to somebody to shake, rattle, and roll it out. Nellie would absolutely be in our wheelhouse, and Barbara for sure, since she's already got something. I'm looking at this right here. It looks very ATM-ish, kind of like ours. So it's very similar attitude in this. Where we're a little bit different though, is that this is the everyday, just like what Nellie said, this is the everyday ins and out cleaning, disinfecting proof that you've done all this stuff. This is micro, which we can turn off, but you still have everything else. You still
Right,
have to
the other
prove
3.
that you clean. You still have
I
to
mean, what
prove
I'm
that you
hearing,
disinfect.
again, as someone who does not do this, there are 4 things. And Mark, I'm hearing you say, we did the 3 most important ones, and you can do the 4th one, which is her specialty, but not
Yes.
everyone needs that.
Exactly.
Barbara, may I
That's
ask you
exactly.
for the second screen?
So basically, we take people from this, the paper, because what they're doing is they're logging in their lab book. We're going and putting this plate here, X, Y, and Z. We're picking up, we expose this plate
We hear
for
this
4
part.
hours. And so we take it to, everything's done in here. And this
I get it.
communicates directly with your cloud software. So this is the cloud software. So we go to the next step. These are the components of our system. You would log in with a wristband, which would be under the clean room suit. You would have one of these devices at the different clean rooms. You're not going to move them from the lab, vice versa. This is real-time data. And like I said, every step of this process follows 21 CFR 11, and the cloud-based package is validated, and we provide that GMP. So then the customer just needs to do the EMPQ for the specifics of their facility. All of the configuration of our system comes with under our validation package.
Do you
So
have a
right
4th
now, my
slide there?
boss is actually in San Diego and doing a sandbox trial at a company that is looking at this software solution for their facility. So you have the clean room compatible device. You can disinfect this, and it had, it's smart, it's wireless.
So you with
and
your
it
solution,
communicates-
there's hardware you need to get for your solution.
They would buy this hardware, which comes.
And
from
Mark,
us.
you're not planning any hardware.
Yeah, we're not planning to stock anything. This is something that the companies can go out and spend on, like a Microsoft, I'm sorry, an iPad Mini or an iPad Pro or Surface Pro, whatever's cheaper
What do you
for
think
them.
about their idea that they are selling the razor as well as the blade?
Well, I mean, again, we're a very small company and we're not in the hardware business. We're in the software business. We'd have
Right.
to have a place to store all this and be able to
Right.
send this out and upload it for them. It with our system is going to be so simple that once the administrator gets in and puts their information in, they can record the MAC IDs of whatever hardware they want to use. And they might only need one and they share it between people.
Okay. Marin, you had something to add, and Barbara, do you have a fourth slide to show us?
Yeah, so these are the components. So you have the wristband, we provide
Right.
the implementation, and then
Yes.
you use the barcodes to follow that whole process along, right? And so then this is what the software looks like. So with this software, you get alarms. Alarm goes off, it's sending the person, in 4 different locations, hey, you may have a potential mold in clean room 1. They can sort by any of these parameters in real time. The data that's being collected right here is real time there. And then there's plenty of data analysis. This is just a slide, so I can't click on that. But if I clicked on that, it would go over. I can look at all the data from the last 3 years, and I can say which room had a mold, what's the deviation code for that mold, what did they do? But every single plate that was placed has to be tracked, signatures have to be done, and all of that is in our portion. So like I said, we do that portion, but we will take the data from the non-viable or from the air monitoring systems, or we will connect to a auto sampler incubator. Those are the things. We haven't done all those connections yet because, we are also a newer company and we're just new in the USA. But
Marin, I promise you
our
the
product
floor,
will
but Mark,
have
now
that.
that you're seeing her screen, do you have a reaction to it relative to yours, which we've not seen?
Yeah, not exactly not seen. I think what's
No,
important.
no, no,
here
I'm
is
saying that we've not seen what your screen looks like. I'm asking you for your reaction to hers.
Yeah, see, if the one thing that's important to understand is that her company, my company, anybody who's going to be doing this is following along with the same quality philosophy. You're still following along with, here are the things that need to be recorded. Here are the things that need to be reported. And all QAs want this to be done for them easily, automatically. If you can get the data in, you can get the data in, the garbage in, garbage out. Everybody is looking for, what I see here is exactly what we're going to be doing. So that just says that the philosophy is exactly the same in recording and reporting this information. So we have a lot that is very much in common with what she's doing. All the points she's pointed to are things that we'll be doing. And we just go into those other areas rather than just micro.
Okay, Marin?
So I have kind of a completely different question or perspective, and I don't expect an answer today, but I think it's something for both companies to think about. When I'm doing evaluation of companies for angel investing, one of the first things I do is I go and I just do a Google search for products like that. So if I look for particle tracking software, I get all kinds of hits. If I look for laboratory management software, I get all kinds of hits. So there are solutions out there. I think what you've presented here says, yes, this will solve solutions. But what I haven't seen yet is, how does this address the reasons that people aren't buying the solution already exist?
Well, for me, I can only talk for me.
We're just about out of time, and I don't want to do that, but that's
okay. I'll make it 30
something to think
seconds. Then.
about.
The thing with us is we just started. We're still in development. We recognize the need, and we're building the need along with the same kind of philosophy that Barbara's shown right there. There are all these different areas of environmental monitoring that LIMS system do not have. Particle counting system is only one part of it. We do all of these, including the tracking and data analysis and the reporting out automatically. And Barbara, I'll let you take over.
I will say what I have found from the year that I've surveyed people, they've been looking at a solution for this. So definitely, Mark's right. There's so many people that want a solution. I think a lot of the solutions on the market are cost prohibitive. They take too much time for implementation. There's so many people that have to be involved. And, our product is not like that. But again, we address the QC micro portion and do lots of trending. And a lot of products that are on the market, you cannot get the data out of them. So you have an auditor or somebody that comes in and they're looking and they're saying, okay, show me all of we found Clostridium in your facility. Show me over the last year all the Clostridium that you've found. They can't pull it up, right? So with our product, you can do that. But what I'm saying is that they're the cost prohibitive, but companies are going to have to be doing this. So they are looking for solutions. So I do think the time is right now. I mean, we're on site right now. My boss is on site at a company in San Diego, and the production people were already collecting data from their facility as we speak. And the competition was not able to do that. You know what I mean? So he is right. There is not like something that can easily do this right now. I don't think they can easily do it. It takes a long time.
Thank you.
Finding something that can be implemented quickly and so forth, and making sure that, you have something that can be implemented and that is validated and that is readily accepted to the customer is, what people are looking for, so that they can get their facilities up and running and meet the new regulations, because there are a lot of new regulations, as you know, coming out in August for compounding pharmacies.
Thank you, Barbara. You added a lot to today's conversation. Mark, I give it to you to close us out.
I want to thank everybody for at least listening to this, because I realize this is not a finished product. It is a concept right now, but we are along the lines where we have the screens and we have a vision and we know what's going on. We've looked at the data. We've looked at the market. We've gotten surveys back from people that basically what Barbara says is 100% true. We found across the board, whether it's electronics, whether it's biotech, whether it's pharma, whether it's medical device, everybody has let us know that they have this unique need. And we found that there is something not out there right now. You may have a limb system, you may have an automatic particle system, but you don't have the everyday ins and outs confirming that you're doing the things you need to be able to prove to the regulatory people that you are following your compliance guidelines and that you are in compliance, and that you can provide that proof readily. So I want to thank everybody here today. I appreciate all the comments. Please reach out to me at any point in time. I would love to hook up with various different people who have some ideas, interests, things like that are aligned with ours, and would love to show you actually more than I was able to show you today, unfortunately.
All right. True. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you all.
It's beautiful in my neck of the woods. I hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you,
I'm
everybody.
on LinkedIn if anyone wants to connect with me, or, Mark, I would love to continue conversations.
By all
with you.
means, you guys should.
I
I
think
hope you
there's a
do. In
lot of
fact, make a
synergy
point
there.
of it today. Thank you, everybody. Bye for now.
Thank you, guys. Bye.